Welcome to the place where brains collide with science, wit, and a nerdy vibe. I'm Dr. Angel. Let's dive in where psychology meets a clever spin. Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.
Have you ever been this close to doing something completely amazing and then suddenly your brain pulls the emergency brake? You finally sit down to write that book or to apply for that job, and suddenly, reorganizing your spice rack becomes the most urgent task on earth. That, my friend, is not procrastination. That is self sabotage. Brought to you by your overprotective, trauma informed brain, trying to keep you safe from imaginary danger. You're not broken, you're just using an outdated safety protocol. And today, we're going to update that code. Hey y'all, I'm Dr. Angel, your favorite bohemian, nerdy mental health professional, and this is Nerdy Psychology. Here, we break down the complexities of mental health using science, storytelling, and a pinch of sass. If you're into brains healing and emotional survival tactics with some quirky humor thrown in, hit that subscribe button. Join our growing community of curious, compassionate humans. Let's dive in. Let's start with a hard truth. Self-sabotage, it is not a character flaw. It's a survival strategy. I'm going to say that again. Self-sabotage is not a character flaw. It's a survival strategy. It just happens to be, well, totally not helpful anymore, but it made perfect sense once. How trauma trains the brain to sabotage us. When we grow up in unsafe or invalidating environments, our brains learn to associate growth and vulnerability with danger. So instead of chasing goals, we chase safety. Instead of applying for that wonderful dream job, we organize the spice rack. That means our nervous system does actually hit the brakes when things feel too good. If every time you showed a positive emotion like joy or excitement as a child and you got shut down or shamed, your brain would start linking happiness with pain. So then as an adult, when you're on the verge of a breakthrough, you unconsciously stop yourself. Not because you're lazy or scared, but because your brain learned that, well, visibility equals vulnerability. Oh, another example, we'll take a child again, a child who grew up in a household where expressing joy was met with criticism or punishment. As an adult, this person might unconsciously avoid situations that could lead to success because the brain has learned to associate these feelings with danger. They might sabotage that promising job opportunity by procrastinating on the application or not even doing it at all. Like Dr. Nicole LaPara said, when trauma is the norm, peace feels like a threat. And I know what you're sitting there thinking. You're like, Dr. Angel, of course I want peace. Everybody wants peace. We all want peace. What are you trying to say to me? I'm trying to say that so often our brains have been conditioned, have been trained for chaos. Common sabotage patterns. I want us to kind of call this out because you know what? When we can call it out, when we can see it, when we can learn about it, we can recognize it. So we're going to talk about some of those classic patterns. Procrastination. This is a big one. This is your brain's favorite anxiety loop. It just keeps going around. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. I'll do this later. I'll do this here. And you know what happens? Those milestones never happen. They never come. I always tell people tomorrow never comes. It's like chasing the horizon. It just keeps getting pushed out further and further and further. And we sit in a procrastination loop of anxiety. And the more we push it out, the more impossible that task starts to feel, the more heavy that weight is on our shoulders, the more we just can't, and the more we don't. Or how about picking fights during peaceful moments? You and your partner or your spouse or your kids or your friends or your family, like it's going good. You're having a great time. You're enjoying each other's company. And all of a sudden you throw something out there that might rattle some cages or be controversial. Why? Because it's too peaceful? Not because you're wanting to make other people mad at you. Or another one could be overcommitting, so you could never have the time to do what really matters. This is one I see a lot in the counseling room. So we can get ourselves so busy committing to other people and to other things. And I'm going to serve on my kids' sports team, and I'm going to, do the PTA thing, or I'm going to take the lead at this project in my job, or I'm going to direct the food meal train for a neighbor in need, or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And all the things we're doing could be great and very worthwhile things and helpful things. But sometimes we're doing all of those things so we don't have to come over here and deal with, the important things for us, the things that matter, the things that might make that goal happen or that dream happen or that opportunity. We just leave that here in limbo. And so as long as we can keep ourselves distracted with the good, we can feel good about it, but underneath it all, behind that scene, the things that really matter aren't getting done. And well, the big one, and I know we talk about this one a lot, but perfectionism. It's, waiting for that perfect moment so you never have to fail. And guess what? Perfect never comes. It doesn't exist. We're human, we're finite. We don't do anything perfectly. But perfect never gets anything done. So I will get people that'll talk about, I have this goal or I have this dream or I have this vision for something for myself or for my life. And I'm going to wait till I get it all together before I start. And I look at them and I tell them, you'll never start. And they kind of can look at me like, what do you mean? Because if you're waiting for everything to be all together, to be perfect, to be right, that doesn't happen. Life happens, things happen. How about good is good? Good is great. Good is getting it done. Something done is better than perfect undone. And I think we have to allow ourselves that room to understand that concept. Failing isn't doing something that might not work out. Failing is not doing the thing. It is the avoidance of doing the thing. Because if we do something that maybe it doesn't work out, that's okay because that's a lesson. And now I've learned it doesn't quite work out that way, but maybe I could tweak something. And the next time I attempt it, I might have found a better solution for that or have learned something in the process. We fail on ourselves when we don't even start, when we don't even try. And perfection is the biggest lie we tell ourselves, waiting for it to be perfect. Once I had a person who told me, like, I always restart a project the moment it's about to be done. I just start it all over, I wipe it all out, and I just take it all back from the top. Why? Well, because finishing, that meant vulnerability, that meant exposure. What if it wasn't good enough? What would people think? What if? Those what ifs got in the brain. And this person thought it would be better to self-destruct than to face that fear. And that was a powerful story that person told, because so many of us do that and we may not even realize that's exactly what we're doing. That story is completely sabotage disguised as protection. A lot of times we're sabotaging ourselves because we are trying to protect ourselves. So it's better to make it look like this can't happen or set up a scene where this can't happen than to face all those what ifs that could be on the other side of it. So, I guess the golden question here is, why does sabotage feel safe? Well, here's a wild thought for you. Sabotage often feels familiar, and familiar equals safe to your nervous system. I'm going to say that again. Sabotage can equal familiar, and familiar equals safe to our nervous system. So, whatever those patterns are that were repeated over and over and over in our life that we've accepted and that we haven't taken out and learned how to deal with in a healthy way, are those patterns that are familiar to us. And even when they hurt us, even when they get in our way as obstacles from achieving our dreams or greatness or goals or becoming into the person we want to become. They get in that way because in the back, we still have this familiar pattern of, if I attempt this, I will be judged and criticized. Or if something good happens to me that's really negative and critical. And I find that people most often struggle with that fear of success because it's so unfamiliar. And it's kind of sad to think of in that term that we have come so conditioned to accept the bad things in life, to accept the negative things in life, to accept things in life that are less than our best because we know that. We know that over and over and over. And so, what we are going to want to do is help to make familiar healthy. So, if we grow up in an environment that might be chaos or competitive, or maybe we were bullied at school or wherever, we can pick up these messages from all over the place. It can happen in our childhood, it can happen in our teen years, it can even happen in our adult years. So, when we have that chaos around us, then calm, that just feels straight up suspicious. So, guess what? That we can't handle. So we start to create tension, not because we wake up one day and go, you know what, life is just way too boring. So I'm just going to stir the pot a little bit just to spice it up. No, we're not consciously thinking about that. We're not trying to be manipulative, but we're in unfamiliar. We don't know how to handle that calm. So we create tension in our world and we stir the pot. And again, not because we want the chaos, but because it just feels familiar. It feels like home. So maybe you get offered this big opportunity and suddenly your body just rebels. You get sick, you stay up all night, you have a sore throat, maybe you stall, you lose your keys, you can't find the file because your brain thinks better to sabotage than to risk failure or to risk shame or to risk vulnerability or whatever we're filling in that blank in our life. The hope in all of this, and I know this is really kind of a little bit of an overview of our self sabotaging ways, but the hope in this is our brains are rewired for growth. We can rewire our brains, we have that power. And so the good part is our brains have neuroplasticity, which means our brains have flexibility. They can learn new patterns and we can have new things become familiar things. And when familiar things that are healthy things, we start to grow and emerge and become and find that success and find that happiness and find that peace. And when we have found that in our space, things can be chaos around us, but when you find familiarity, when you find contentment in that space, it's okay. And you learn how to navigate in that. So you don't have to just bulldoze your life to heal. We change our brain in very small micro doses of moments of change, micro changes. This is one of those areas you can't go 0 to 100 or 100 to 0 or however you want to call it out, because that's not how our brain rewires. Our brain rewires in the things we do over and over and over and over. And the more we do that thing, the more we're making that connection for that wire. So it is small, tiny moments that lead to that rewiring opportunity in our brain. So, for example, I've known a lot of people who have struggled with perfectionism, but I knew a person once that decided to practice being uncomfortable in small doses. So, first they started to set boundaries and finish some tasks without aiming for perfection, just for completion. The goal was just to be done with it, to start and to finish. And over time, they noticed the shift in their behavior and they began to embrace this growth and possibility. It's okay. Completion. Done. Check. Make the list. Check it off on the refrigerator. So give yourself a space. So if you're trying to do something perfect, that would be a great place to start. Or maybe you're procrastinating. But the point of this is shifting our behavior, shifting our habits, taking those habits that are getting in our way of success and learning to shift them. If you're that person that's like overcommitting to all these things and not having the time and the space for the things that are really valuable to you, we are going to say no for 30 days and we're not going to commit to anything for 30 days because we're going to clean up what's already on our plate, so to speak. And so giving ourselves little microdoses of opportunity makes a big difference in helping our brain learn to find a better way in a healthy way that's becoming familiar. So what we can do about this is we want to catch the pattern as it's happening. We want to kind of be very consciously aware of ourselves in these moments. So if you're this person, you're just like, man, Dr. Angel, I've got goals or things I want to accomplish in my life or things I'm feeling like I'm just stuck in or I'm on a plateau. What is that thing? Let's put it down on paper. What is that thing that you're getting stuck on or you're not able to get yourself to? And let's look at what's happening around that thing. When you think of that thing, how does it make you feel? When you go to do an action that might be a part of that, what's happening around you? Like starting to be reflective of yourself, kind of a student of your own self. We want to catch the patterns, but first we have to kind of identify those patterns. And so when you're in that moment, so let's say I'll give you one that I know some people might struggle with, especially they may procrastinate with is definitely like those leveling up with their career, starting a new business. And so maybe they're sitting in a job that they absolutely loathe. They hate going to work. It's just sucking the ever life out of them every day. They come home and they're just miserable, miserable, miserable. And they have this wonderful business plan and this wonderful idea, but they've made no execution to it. What if we just did one thing? What if we looked at different equipment supplies that could be around? Like maybe we just gave it an idea. Maybe we played with a logo. Maybe we wrote a paragraph of what the business could look like starting to give ourselves a place to make a new pattern because we want to choose a different behavior, even if it's teeny, teeny, tiny. And then we want to practice it consistently, whatever that is, whatever that tiny shift is. We're not rewiring for perfection. We're rewiring for possibility. I'm going to say that one more time because we are not rewiring for perfection. We're rewiring for possibility. We will never have, we'll never do, we'll never be if we never make a step in that direction or make that choice. It doesn't happen. And so, if we want that possibility for those things, we have to start making those changes in our brain. So, here's some action steps. Are you ready to turn all this into progress? I want you to try a few things. First, we're going to identify those sabotage patterns. I want you to get curious. I want you to look at what situations kind of trigger you, or when do they show up? When do you find yourself doing these things? Keep a notepad in your phone, or keep a journal with it, or write it down, or even wear a rubber band and snap it when you start to see, wait, I'm doing something right now. When do these things show up? Find the protective intention. Why am I avoiding this? Why? What am I protecting? Then I want you to ask yourself, what is the behavior trying to protect me from? Rejection, shame, pressure, and then practice discomfort in tiny, small doses. I want you to get used to having discomfort. Life is not all about feeling comfortable. In fact, if we're always comfortable, we're not even growing, because growth happens in those places of discomfort. So speak up, set a boundary, finish something. Let yourself try without needing to be perfect or needing to. Let yourself try, whatever that means to you. And remind your brain, this is not danger. It's just something new. I'm stepping out into something new. It's safe. It's okay. You're not broken. Your brain is just deeply loyal to old data. But now, here's your power. You get to teach it something new. That growth can be safe and can be good. That success can feel wonderful and that calm is okay. That visibility doesn't equal harm. And that success doesn't have to come with sabotage. If this episode hit home, like it, share it, and please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one way you've caught yourself self-sabotaging lately? Let's talk about it. No shame, just insight. Until next time, stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy. See you next week.
Stay curious, be kind, and keep your mind nerdy.